Ever notice how hair loss always targets the crown first? Kind of unfair, right? Turns out that spot is like a stress hotspot. Research suggests it reacts stronger to hormones, low oxygen, even poor blood flow. It's almost like the follicles there are more sensitive, a bit exposed. The pattern has a name: androgenetic alopecia. Sounds heavy, but here's the twist. Men and women face it differently. Guys usually lose hair in a clear M shape. Women? More scattered, like thinning grass. Still, the core idea is the same. The follicle gets weaker, then slowly shuts down. But hair isn't just dead protein sitting on your head. It's alive. It breathes. It needs oxygen, nutrients, mitochondrial energy. And when that tiny ecosystem gets disrupted, growth slows. Over time, the follicle can shrink, almost go silent. That's why many people say the crown just gave up. It didn't. It simply lost the environment it needs to stay active. The next question? What's ruining that environment? Let's dig in. You know what's strange? The more we age, the less testosterone we get. Yet hair loss speeds up. Sounds backward. But research suggests testosterone often converts into something stronger, DHT. And that molecule seems to hit hair follicles like a tiny wrecking ball. In many cases, DHT binds to receptors on the scalp and gradually turns a thick hair into thin peach fuzz. Not instantly, slowly, day after day, follicle after follicle. That's why blocking DHT became a big business. Finasteride, dutasteride, they help manage DHT, but they might also drop libido or affect erections. So the classic question appears: protect hair or protect drive? Still, DHT isn't the villain alone. Some people keep high testosterone their whole life and barely go bald. So the real mystery is why certain scalps soak up more DHT than others. That puzzle pushes us deeper. Something upstream could be driving this hormonal shift, and it might be metabolic, not hormonal. A hidden trigger. Ready for it? Ever wondered why some people eat sugar and instantly feel greasy skin, oily scalp, even hair shedding? Research suggests insulin resistance might be a major driver behind rising DHT production. Not obvious, but powerful. Here's the pattern. When the body stops responding well to insulin, the liver gets overloaded. Hormones shift. Testosterone can stay free in the bloodstream longer and might convert into DHT much faster. That usually means more scalp sensitivity, more miniaturized follicles. It's not just hormones. Blood flow drops, inflammation rises, the whole system gets noisy, and the scalp, especially the crown, seems to be one of the first places to react. Some experts say insulin resistance typically acts like a silent signal, telling the body to store fat and break down hair. Not official, but many studies connect the dots. So, before hunting for magic shampoos, maybe start with glucose control. That could help improve the hormonal balance significantly. And suddenly, the hair story makes a lot more sense. Ready to zoom in further? Ever touch a bald spot and feel it smooth, shiny, almost like plastic? That look isn't random. It usually signals low oxygen and scar-like tissue forming around the follicles. Research suggests microinflammation builds up over time, especially when blood flow and mitochondrial energy are weak. The follicle isn't just a hole for hair, it's an ecosystem. It needs fresh oxygen, fuel, clean circulation. Without that, it struggles. Eventually, it might shrink and shut down. Not dead, just silent. Sometimes, the scalp reacts by building stiff collagen, a bit like concrete. That makes it harder for nutrients to enter and harder for hair to grow. And that's why simply lowering DHT often isn't enough. The ground itself becomes unfriendly. Hair growth needs space, oxygen, movement, energy. If the terrain stays tight and inflamed, nothing happens. So the goal changes. Not just block hormones, but revive the environment. And that means physical action. Literally. Let's talk stimulation next. Ever tried rubbing your scalp hard and felt a strange heat after? That reaction matters. It's the first sign the tissue is waking up. Research suggests physical stimulation may help break tiny scar fibers and kickstart local blood flow, like shaking the ground before planting seeds. Aggressive massage can push things a bit too far, but controlled microneedling often gives better results. The needles don't go deep, just enough to signal the body, repair this. That alert can attract growth factors and wake up stem cells sitting quietly near the follicles. Some people do it twice a week, others go lighter. But the goal stays simple: disrupt stagnation. Think soil. If it's stiff, water can't get in. But loosen it, and suddenly everything changes. Combine that with nutrient flow, light therapy, maybe some topical support, and you get a strategy instead of a random attempt. So the question becomes, how do we fuel that reaction from the inside? Next stop, mitochondria. You know that tired feeling after a long day? Follicles can feel it too. Research suggests weak mitochondria usually mean weak hair growth. They produce less energy, and the cells around the follicle slow down. Growth pauses, sometimes for months. Here's the wild part. Light might help. Not sunlight, specific wavelengths. Typically 630 to 850 nanometers. That range seems to signal mitochondria to wake up and make more ATP, more energy, more activity. People already use red light therapy for eye strain, wound recovery, even mood shifts. So applying it to the scalp makes sense. Studies show it could support circulation and reduce inflammation, both key for follicle survival. It's not a miracle fix, it's a nudge, a spark to help the body do its job. Some use LED helmets, some use handheld lamps. Timing matters, usually short pulses, not too long, not too strong. And once mitochondria start breathing better, other protocols hit harder, including the famous one, minoxidil. Ready? Ever heard people say, minoxidil grew my hair, but now I'm stuck using it forever? That's kind of the deal. Minoxidil mainly boosts blood flow. It doesn't target DHT or inflammation. It just opens vessels. A quick push, not a full strategy. Research suggests it helps manage thinning by giving the follicle more oxygen. But without fixing insulin resistance or scar tissue, results might fade. It's support, not solution. Some biohackers try cycling it, mixing on and off phases with scalp work, light therapy, and better metabolism. That approach tends to feel more balanced. Still, the idea behind minoxidil remains solid. Circulation first. Even natural alternatives aim at the same target. So the question shifts. Can we get minoxidil-like effects from nature? Oils, herbs, nutrients? Turns out, yes. And one herb usually stands out. It smells strong, works via a different mechanism, and doesn't need a prescription. Meet rosemary. Ever notice how a whiff of rosemary instantly wakes you up? Apparently, hair follicles react too. Research suggests rosemary oil might improve blood flow, help manage DHT, and calm inflammation around the follicles all at once. That's already 3 layers, way beyond just hair oil. Some studies even compared it to minoxidil and found similar support for regrowth. But here's the bonus. Rosemary usually protects mitochondria from stress, which could keep follicles active longer. Think of it as a multi-tool: circulation boost, defense shield, metabolic support. Many biohackers mix it with microneedling, red light, even scalp massage. That turns it from a simple oil into a protocol. Application? More or less simple. A few diluted drops massaged into the scalp after stimulation. Not on clean skin, on activated skin. That timing tends to hit harder. And this is where nutrition enters the game. Because without raw materials, follicles can't build anything. Let's feed them next. Ever had low energy and felt your scalp lifeless too? That link might be real. Research suggests vitamin D helps activate stem cells around the follicle, the ones responsible for new hair growth phases. Low levels usually equal slower cycles. Zinc plays a different role. It might support key enzymes that manage DHT and influence growth factors. A slight deficiency could push follicles into rest mode and slow repair. That's why many people report better density after adding zinc back into their diet. Not mega doses, just smart levels. Dosages vary widely based on individual needs, which is why checking blood work with a doctor is key before supplementing. Depends on blood work, metabolism, sunlight exposure, all that. Still, nutrients alone aren't magic. They're bricks. The follicle decides how to use them. But without those bricks, everything stalls. So the question becomes, can we support hormones with food too? Yes. And one meal caught everyone's attention. Let's break it down. So, instead of going straight for prescription blockers, some people try softer tools. Research suggests several natural compounds might help manage the enzyme that converts testosterone into DHT, 5-alpha reductase. Not kill it, just dial it down. Saw palmetto usually comes first. Some studies show it may support hormonal balance without major side effects. Then, pumpkin seed oil. Biohackers love it. It often carries magnesium, zinc, and mild 5-AR inhibition. Green tea extract, EGCG, appears to influence inflammation and DHT levels slightly. Peppermint oil gets attention too. People report cooling, stimulation, and possible hormonal regulation. Zinc shows up again because it touches multiple pathways: metabolism, hormones, even tissue repair. It's small but mighty. None of these cure hair loss, but stacking them with lifestyle work might create the right internal climate. And if food plays a role, maybe there's a plate that boosts everything at once. Sounds tasty? Let's build it. Think of this plate like fuel for follicles. Research suggests 4 foods together might create ideal conditions for growth, inside, not just on the scalp. First, beef liver. Nutrient overload, heme iron, zinc, selenium, copper, all feeding mitochondria and enzyme activity. Just a little piece can go a long way. Next comes onion. Smell is strong, but quercetin seems to calm inflammation and support circulation. Some people even use onion juice topically, but eating it feels easier. Sauerkraut joins the party. Fermented, rich in vitamin C and phytonutrients, it usually supports gut health, and a healthy gut might keep DHT levels more stable. Then pumpkin seeds. Tiny 5-AR inhibitors packed with magnesium. A handful daily could shift your hormonal terrain. Put them all on one plate, and suddenly your meal isn't just food, it's strategy, a metabolic upgrade. But none of it holds if insulin stays high. That's why everything loops back to one core issue. Ready for the final piece? Here's the catch. You can microneedle, use oils, light therapy, supplements, but if insulin stays high, progress usually stalls. Research suggests insulin resistance tends to disrupt hormones, limit oxygen flow, and trigger inflammation around the follicles. It's like trying to grow plants in polluted soil. The core idea is simple. Metabolism sets the rules. When insulin spikes all day, the body shifts into storage mode, not repair mode. Hair growth gets sidelined. That's why many biohackers prioritize glucose control before any fancy protocol. Some go low carb, some increase fasting windows, others track blood sugar with continuous monitors. Different strategies, same goal: quiet the noise inside the system. Once that happens, the body usually wakes up. Therapies start working stronger. DHT may stabilize, circulation improves, and follicles finally have room to breathe. So yes, scalp work matters. Nutrients matter. Tools matter. But metabolic clarity? That might be the real switch. And now you've got the full map. Let's close it strong. You made it through the full blueprint! Not theories, a system. Hair loss often starts at the crown, but the story runs deeper. Hormones, mitochondria, inflammation, metabolism. In many cases, what looks like genetics might actually be environment. And environments can shift. The strategy is layered. Wake the scalp, feed the cells, support hormones, calm insulin, add circulation, use light, use movement, use food like medicine. Not to cure, but to support regeneration. And here's the real twist. You don't need perfection, just momentum. Slightly better sleep, slightly cleaner meals, a bit more sunlight, a little daily blood flow to the scalp. These tiny shifts tend to add up, quietly, consistently. Your body isn't broken. It might just be waiting for better conditions. Thanks for watching, and if this helped, share it with someone who thinks hair loss is destiny. It might not be. Sometimes, it's just biology asking for a second chance.